Sports cuts through all the garbage. It's the great unifier. Remember the Titans isn't about football or even racism. It's about what happens when men stop protecting their egos and start protecting each other's hearts. We see a community torn apart by hate, coaches losing careers and legacy, players choosing sides, until one football team transformed an entire town. We're breaking down how a fractured team can become brothers and why most men today are missing that secret ingredient.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being. Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald and I am super excited to be getting into this movie with two of my brothers, with Leo Clark coming to us from Texas and Conrad from Colorado. Two wild at heart dudes that I've known for a little while and just love seeing those smiles, guys. So how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great, Paul. I'm doing great, brother. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Leo.
I'm doing incredible. I'm having to, I don't know why I'm having to, I don't have to, but I'm trying to suppress my smile. I'm really happy and I'm noticing waking up today and kind of it's cloudy and pretty shitty here in Colorado. And I'm I don't know about this. Maybe it'll be a good conversation. Maybe it won't. But to step on screen and to see Leo's face and to see your face, I'm just there's not another place on the planet I'd want to be than here right now, talking about this story and seeing where God leads it. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, love it. It's kind of an interesting story, and if I think of whatever there's probably a metric of smiles concentrated, between the three of us, I don't know that there's many more smiling dudes in the world.
We're taking the cake right now.
Yeah. When I think of Leo, I think of his smile, and the same thing with Conrad is the smile. And even sometimes you've shared some, very intimate, vulnerable stories and you're still smiling through it. And so this is going to be this, not Bob Smiley, who's a dude I've had on the podcast. He's also a smiling dude, but this is, you're going to get the most smiles per minute of any podcast, guaranteed. Which means you should be watching this on YouTube if you're listening to this, because otherwise it's harder to hear a smile than it is to see a smile.
I would definitely, I concur with that. Watch it on YouTube because the smiles and the joy that is coming through the cameras, man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm pumped.
So, Leo, I'm going to start with you because you beat Conrad by about 2 days. We had been on there. We had talked about, what movie did we talk about?
Man, Cinderella Man.
Cinderella Man. Yeah, we talked about yes. Cinderella Man. And I was like, hey man, here's I ambushed my first time guest with this little survey of saying, hey, how did it go? What can we do better? Do you want to come back? And it wasn't very much longer after that you were like, hey man, I want to do Remember the Titans. Let's do Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
And then not long, within 2 days, Conrad's like, hey brother, I don't know if anybody's taken Remember the Titans, but I'd love to do that. And I was like, well, Leo's got first dibs because he beat you to the wire. But so Leo, what is it about Remember the Titans that you love that made you want to be like, hey man, I want to talk about this movie and why it stirs my heart?
Man, what a good question, man. You put me up first and not Conrad. But no, one of the things where even we were talking about this, discussing this, the opportunity to do this with Conrad, I mean, to me is huge, and it really ties into the film.
Mm.
When you look at the 2-star football players, the bond, and you want to talk about the unity, and unfortunately we live in a world where a lot of times people want to talk about race, culture, and all these kind of things. And I'm like, man, let me just tell you the power of love and just joy and unifying with a brother. From the first time I met Conrad, we clicked in a lot of ways, and every one of our conversations have been powerful. And I think that's such an example of what I believe God intended the world to be, without, you take away the sin of the world and where hate and anger comes in. This is a movie that touches on that in a lot of ways, where it kills hate with love through a lot of adversity, and it unified a group that did great things. And the fact that it's based on a true story is powerful. So not only is this movie great, but get to do this with you two. And hopefully, man, my heart is that, man, this can impact the lives of others. Like, and I think I've shared this with you, Paul, like we all have a story. Like
Right.
we all have a story. Let's let that story be used to impact the lives of others, because God has allowed us to go through that story, right? So when I think about, remember the Titans and the struggle, and I shared with you just the different scenes, and that hit me, and I just paused, and I'm like, wow, like, man, there's men that have went through this all around the world and have battled together through war and all this kind of stuff. And we look at sports. Sports to me is the great unifier. It is the one thing that cuts through what I say, a lot of the garbage, and it cuts through race, and it just unifies people in a powerful way. And what greater story than Remember the Titans? So, man, I'm so honored to be able to do this with you, brother Conrad, and Paul, and just, man, let's let God take this where he wants to take it, brothers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, Conrad, what about you? Because, like I said, you were like 2 days after, and it had been a while since we had talked.
Yeah.
And so really the message, I think you may have DM'd me on Slack, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of out of the blue, which is always a sign that God's up to something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So when I messaged you, it was just, I was sharing this with Leo offline. Like, me and Samantha, we love this story. It has a special place in our hearts and in me and Samantha's story. But we were kind of waiting for our girls to be old enough to show it to them. And we felt like, I think we can handle it. We've had some conversations about some of the themes that are in the story, and we're like, let's do it. And they love it. And even our son, and he's only 5, he walks around quoting it. One of his favorite quotes is, "I'm Coach Boone." And so he walks around saying he's Coach Boone, and that's humorous in many ways. And I'll let that be what that is. But I was just like, man, I hadn't watched it for a very long time. And then whenever I watched it, I found myself being pretty moved in a lot of different ways that I wasn't expecting. And I had kind of, it was a reminiscing. God was reminding me of the larger story, and he was even pouring identity into me afresh in the stories of these coaches, and also the stories of Julius and Gary Bertier. And I was just like, yeah, I want to chop this up. And so when I heard that Leo had reached out, and just the honor and like the possibility, we were praying a little bit yesterday, and I felt like this was a delightful conversation, and smiles all over the place. And it felt weighty in the right ways. So yeah, I'm really eager to get going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
So this movie's old enough. We're not going to like recap it or anything. Cause it's pretty, well, we'll set the stage here. 1971, integration happening at the high school level. And this is really it seemed like the only school in their district that had integrated. Yeah. Lots of anger, hate, divisiveness. And, Leo, you were talking about your family's from Louisiana. I grew up in the South, hearing stories of people who lived through that time. Like, I know, older Black guys who were like, it was a fight every day at school. Yeah. It was a fight getting to school. It was a fight leaving school. Like, they were experiencing they were experiencing a very different way of life than we are accustomed to today.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that pretty quickly in the movie. And they bring in Coach Boone, who's played by Denzel. And they bring him in as an assistant coach, interestingly, but then quickly bump him to the head coach with the intention of cutting him as soon as they can.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make the numbers look good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and it goes from there. But this struggle of bringing these two groups, these white students and these black students, with all the stereotypes and the racism and all that stuff. But what I'm finding and what I was gathering from listening to you guys sort of riff back and forth before we even started, is that, and this might get me cut, this idea that racism is actually the smaller part of a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that to diminish the problem of racism in the world, but that the problem is divisiveness. And Leo, you said something in the beginning of sport is the great unifier.
Mm.
Like I think of 9/11 and how after that, how important it was, like the World Series and the Super Bowl, and how the America rallied around our sports. And so I guess my first question for you guys is how and why does that happen in a sports world that maybe we don't see? The softball is in the regular world. The fastball is, we're mixing sports analogies. We're going to have some basketball. We're going to have some football in the church, right?
Yeah.
Like the softball is, why doesn't this happen in the regular world? The fastball is, why don't we see the same sort of unity happen in the church?
Mm.
Yeah, Paul, I got to jump in. I'm like chomping at the bit here, and I'm going to take a swing. Like, I think even to go back to the story and to let the story speak, like I've watched it a lot recently, and I look at each man, Coach Boone, Coach Yost, Coach Boone's assistant, Doc, I think is his name. I don't know Coach Yost's assistant, but all those men that are coaches, kind of in authority over the team, and then all of the players. Like all of them are in a lose-lose. Like, and everyone's in pain and no one's getting what they want. But every man in the story is getting exactly what he needs in God's kingdom. And the only way through any of that, the only way Boone doesn't get fired is unifying the team. The only way Yost can get through his disappointment of like, wait, what the, I was the head guy, but now I'm not. And now I'm asked to be an assistant. And it's just disorienting. And he even loses his Hall of Fame chances. And there's a whole story there. And then you look at Gary Bertier and Julius, and there's just battle. And the only way through any of it is to stop competing with one another, to stop hating one another, to stop comparing ourselves to one another and find brotherhood. And it's interesting you asked that question of like, why don't we see it? I think, and even this thing of racism, and racism is, I think, one of the most wicked forms of hell on earth as it is in hell. You know, Jesus has that prayer of like, he invites us to bring God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And I've always like been curious of like, well, that actually helps me see the world more clearly, because if that's what the good guys are saying, then the bad guys are bringing hell on earth as it is in hell. Like seriously. And so I look at racism and I go, wow, that's wicked. And I don't think predominantly a female invention. I think it was predominantly from the heart and sin of men and underneath it was insecurity about themselves and competition that then bred into hatred. I'm interested to see what you guys think. This is all just sandboxing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my experience. But what I love about sport is I do think it is it undercuts all that rather quickly, and it's a language that's sport to me is a language that is spoken with the body and the heart, and that can cut underneath skin tone rather quickly, and that's why it works. But I think underneath it is competition, and you see in the movie, rather than competing and dividing and hating, that the men come together, and that's the gold. And I'm waiting for the church to catch on. I'm excited. I'm hopeful, and I actually pray that this conversation could make a splash in that conversation. So yeah, I would love to hear what Leo has to say about it.
Man, guys, give me. I'm gonna have to stand. I'm gonna raise my desk up. I'm gonna have to stand because this one is this is one of those moments where like I don't want to miss this, and I'm so energized and amped up. I had to I would just heard God stand up, and I'm sitting here. Thank God for I have the desk. I can go both.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking about this, and momently as you was talking, Conrad, there was a scene in the movie. When Julius, I think it was in the video you sent, where Julius had sent, you sent the video, but
Yes.
Julius and Gary Bertan, they finally had confrontation.
Yes.
Okay? And there was truth. And because of the truth is now you're getting past what I would call the crap, right? So a lot of times when you look at race divide, a lot of it is they're afraid to offend each other. And in that moment, they were like, dude, I really don't care if I offend you. I'm going to tell you why we're not a good team because you're not a good leader.
Yep.
Or, well, you're not handling your business. You keep doing the same thing every single time. And you have all of this wasted talent, right? Well, truth begins to happen. And so what happens in sports, and even I think if you talk to anybody that's been in the battlefield or somebody that's served in the military, what happens is you don't really have a choice but to unify to be successful.
Yep.
In the military, it's life or death. In sports, it's wins or losses. But there's a competitor in us, a warrior-like spirit in us that we battle. And so when we're competing together, we both want to win. We both want to succeed. And at the same time, like, I need you to succeed. So the color of your skin is irrelevant in that moment. Sometimes in the church, or what we would say in our day-to-day lives, and even when we go to the grocery store, it's like, man, why do people walk around with their head down? Like, I don't want to make eye contact. I don't want to smile. I don't want to say hello. And you see it all the time. And sometimes I'm just walking and I'll just smile and say hi to people. And they don't know what to do. Sometimes they're freaked out, like, why is he saying hi to me? I don't want to interact. And it's just something that, and I think you guys heard me say this before. It was, I think it started with my grandmother, but I know it's my mom. It's this thing, love without a hook, right? And my grandmother, who, if you've ever seen the movie The Help, and that's what my grandmother did in the South. And so imagine cleaning toilets in the South, and you couldn't use those toilets, right? And you talk about a level of racism. We're talking about a toilet. That's something that we take for granted. And we can go use. There's nobody saying, hey, you can't use this because of the color of your skin. And they go through this type of stuff. Sports just breaks that up. And I think in what we need in the church is people that are stop being afraid of offending somebody. Like, I tell any of my friends, white friends, it's like, dude, there's nothing you can say that's going to offend me. And some people are like, well, what do you mean by that? It's because I'm not going to give you the power to offend me, because I know who I am in Christ. Now, if now you may say something what some would say out of pocket, but let's have a discussion. But if I'm looking to be offended, I'm going to be offended.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times there's a search that the sin of the world has come in a way where it's just people are looking to be offended. So when race is involved, it's like, he was like, oh man, like, for lack of a better word, hate when people, I can't stand when people use the N word in any form. I don't care, black, white, can't stand it, because once again, if you really study the word and you look it up, it's just ignorance, right? So you look at, and to me, it offends my grandmother for me to use that word, knowing what she went through.
Yep.
So when I see people say, oh man, they can't say that, da, 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 I'm like, well, have you ever listened to the music that you're creating in the environment that is creating for these kids that may listen to it, that may move their head to it, so they're sucking into it, so they think they have a license to say it, and it's like, well, buddy, you're getting offended on that, but you're saying it to each other. I said, no, I just don't. So I don't use it at all. I don't let any kids around me. I don't even mess around with it, because once again, it's not a unifier. If it's not a unifier, I'm not interested. Right. And so I go through this, no matter what place, whatever place I'm in, whether it's work, in the sports world, whatever, it's like, I will tell anybody, I'm not going to let you offend me, because I'm not looking to be offended. But I'm looking for is unify. I'm looking for your heart. And I don't know if you guys ever heard the story. I think I shared this with Bart at one time during the whole height of BLM movement, right? Somebody comes up to me and says, hey, Black Lives Matter at a Home Depot. I stopped, I paused and said, Lord, give me the words. And I sat there for a second. I said, why are you saying that? And I asked this guy, and we talk about that, and I want to tie all this in. I said, why are you saying it? Why are you coming to me that you know nothing about, but you think you saying that means something to me? And he was like, what do you mean? I said, well, you said Black Lives Matter, right? And I said, but you don't even know anything about me. And I said, I already know my life matters because I know who my father is. I said, so I no offense, I just don't need it, but I want to know about your heart.
Yeah.
I said, let's really talk about this. I said, what are you trying to get? He said, well, I know, some kids may need help, stuff like that. I said, cool, great. Let's go right there with it. I said, there's some kids right now in the inner city who have trouble reading and writing. I said, are you willing to go serve? Because I said, how you can show you care, they just need to see your face. I said, they don't need your money. They need help with reading.
They don't need your hashtags.
They don't need your hashtags. None of that stuff. That's not moving the needle. They need you to go there and help them learn how to read and do math better. Are you willing to do that? And he's like, stuck. And I said, when we leave here today, I said, what I want you to think about, I want you just to kind of stew on or meditate on is, why did you feel the need to say that to me? And I said, because there's something in your heart that God's trying to get to. And dude probably left there like, man, I wasn't expecting that. He was trying to get out of there as quick as possible because he wasn't expecting that response. Yeah. Right. And so the reason why I say that is we have a world that's running around is waiting for somebody to affirm them. And that's just a Band-Aid. But what is the heart issue? Why do I need you to say that my life matters? It's because I don't know who I am in the true Father's eyes. And so when we cut that racial divide, when you're not going to offend me. There's nothing you can say that I haven't heard before in my past. There's just nothing. I've been in the sports world. I've been called the craziest things playing in Kentucky or all kind of different places. I mean, man, I went to school in Bristol, Virginia, and there's going to NASCAR races. There's nothing you can say that's going to offend me that I haven't heard. So I'm not going to give you that power to define me. So when I go back to that is where I would see the church, where I would lovingly tell them like, man, we got to have real conversations and we got to stop being offended over silly stuff. Yeah. Like, now let's get to the heart of our conversations so we can talk. I want to get to know you. I want to know your story, Conrad. I want to know your story, Paul. I want to know your backstory. What did you go through when you were young? Man, because there's common ground in that. Yeah. There's so much common ground with that. And I don't know if you guys know, John Scott. John Scott and I grew up from totally different backgrounds, but we are bands of brothers. Like him and I, night and day difference, and we laugh about it to this day. And to me, that right there is what it's about. Like me, an inner city kid, going to a ranch, and I mean, shooting at a gun range. I didn't grow up around that. Like that's new to me. But having fun doing it, him coaching me through it, fathering me through it, like that was like man, we can't get to that until we can get past the false facade of what people call racism, offensive. Man, let's get past that. Let's get to the heart, and so we can love each other. So that loving without a hook is a powerful thing to me. So I know I went on a tangent, guys, but man, that was just on my heart. That's a big one to me. I want to bring unity through sports.
Yeah.
There you go.
Paul, I'm wondering if we could like go to that scene now, because that feels pretty good. Because I that's one of my favorite ones too, is when they finally have it out.
Yes,
I do. I want to hit that, obviously, but I want to hit the speech first.
Sweet.
Because what Leo was talking about, and I was trying to keep up. I was trying to take notes, man. You were unloading some depth. But that idea of unify or die. And so that's basically because we need that message to go to the truth.
Yep.
Which is why I want to kind of paint it in that way, Conrad. But I was right on. I was almost ready to just start playing it even without letting Leo know.
Great.
But the scene, they're struggling. It's getting worse. The division and the tension between the guys. Coach Boone wakes him up at 3 a.m, which I'm like, I did some math. He wakes him up. They start running at 3 a.m, and when they get to Gettysburg, the sun is rising. That's at least 3 hours of running.
Oh man, even in that scene, when he first went to Coach Boone and was like, "Hey, we're not in the military,"
right?
And it just blew. It's like, I'm not even, dude. We're doing this.
Yeah,
we're going to unify.
Yeah,
and this
and even that other I think there's the other scene where he's like, there's a fine line between crazy and
tough,
committed,
and
tough. Yeah. And he just blows the whistle again. Dude's puking in the back. So this scene, he takes him on the run because he's sort of getting to the last. He's at the last resort in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things in this message that he shares with them at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
They're all spent. They're all wiped. They're all just exhausted. But what he has to say, it speaks a lot to the message and stuff that you guys were just saying.
Anybody know what this place is? This is Gettysburg. This is where they fought the Battle of Gettysburg. 50,000 men died right here on this field, fighting the same fight that we're still fighting amongst ourselves today. This green field right here, painted red, bubbling with the blood of young boys. Smoke and hot lead pouring right through their bodies. Listen to their souls, man. I killed my brother with malice in my heart. Hatred destroyed my family. You listen. You take a lesson from the dead. If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground, we too will be destroyed. Just like they were. I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll learn to play this game like men.
To me, some of that goes back to that idea you had, Conrad, which I loved, was how the bad guys are saying, let it be on earth as it is in the kingdom of hell. We're fighting the same fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives them the honor and the dignity of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think he calls them men at one point.
Yep.
Which for these high school boys, and he also sees that it's about more than football. I mean, football is important. Football matters. But he's like, this battle is so much bigger than football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and understanding that moment in time, like Coach Boone was hired to be an assistant, and he was given the head job just as kind of like, hey, let's just do this just to appease the people, and then we're gonna fire him. But the moment was bigger than him just coaching. The moment is like, man, this is a time of change, and I'm a part of it. I get to be a part of this opportunity, this moment in history to change. He didn't say, hey, let me go backwards and worry about what people did to me, the different things that have been, how they have harmed me. He's like, man, I get to be a part of this change.
Yeah.
And that resonates with me, right? Like guys, it's like I try to stay off the little soapbox and pity parties. Like, oh man, this has happened to me because, man, there's crazy things that happened to me in my past, and I could be bitter, or I can be better. And it's just, man, there's nothing that I could go through in this day and age that can compare to what my grandmother went through, and that is a woman that was so full of love and joy, and. When she passed away, it was a celebration. I've never seen that many people in the community come together. I didn't know probably 20% of the people. Like I knew the family members, but these other people, I was like, whoa. But her impact and you know, in the 70s, to keep put in perspective, in the 70s, during that time, the lady she worked for passed away, and I think the lady left her about 100,000 in her will. And I think the story, if I'm quoting it correctly, the lady was like, this lady loved me like I was one of her own. And even though my grandmother could not use her bathrooms, like the movie The Help, and you look at this, the act of love is far more powerful than the act of hate. And so in this moment, Coach Boone could have been like, man, stuff is happening to me and happening to me, and I can choose to hate y'all and punish y'all. But I know I have a part to play in this, and I'm gonna bring you guys together. So even when I hear that speech, and he was talking about his brother and the hot lead and the blood on this field of Gettysburg, and the history in that, and you're like, man, through football, he said, you guys don't have to like each other, but you're gonna respect each other. And so there's something about that, man, when there's a respect, and once we can respect, now we can get to the stories, and that's where the love can just creep right on in and just, you know, dissipate all the hate. So, yeah, and
Leo, when you said the word respect, it grabbed my attention, and I think I've heard it. I always thought like respect. I had this really like young or naive or kind of just like gooey idea of what respect was, of just like, I say something and you do it, kind of like this weird like authority power thing. But I've discovered that that's not what respect is. And I had he's an interesting fellow. He is also a Catholic man, and he talked to me about respect, and like literally what the word means is re-inspect, and like to spect is like the word to see. And it literally, he was teaching me, he's like, respect, Conrad, means to see again or to see clearly. And that I think is actually the juice, the mojo in the scene where Julius says some very, I don't want to, just some very strong truth to Gary, as Gary is saying very strong truth to Julius. And what happens in that scene, I think, is they see each other again. Respect is born in that scene. And it's that proverb of like iron sharpens iron. So one man is sharpening another. And I think at the crux of that is, or I guess the doorway through that is respect. And that's what's got my heart's attention. I was also noticing for the first time, I've seen the movie a bunch, I've seen that scene a bunch, but I just didn't realize like there's that clip of Coach Yost, and he's right in there with the players. And even Coach Boone's, he's running the ship and he's leading it, but even to like really think like, but the coaches ran there too.
Yeah.
And so this 4, however many miles it was, however long it was, this sludge in the morning, it wasn't the coaches, Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney acting cooler and tougher than they actually are. They're soft serve ice cream, driving around in their golf carts by their players. Like, no, Coach Boone and Coach Yost were running.
Yeah.
And it's like this, you want to talk about a unifier and an equalizer, is they were engaging those players as younger brothers. They went to the familial side of the kingdom, where it goes from hierarchy to holarchy, and we're all in this thing together. And they're side by side, shoulder to shoulder, suffering with them. I wonder how much respect was born in those moments too, where the coaches were identifying themselves in an embodied run as, we're with you, we're not over you.
Yeah.
We're actually with you.
Yeah.
That had my attention in that scene too.
That's good. That's good.
So I love that idea, that concept of respect. I've never heard that before, Conrad, about seeing again.
Yeah.
And, as you were talking about how Coach Boone became their coach, like he was going to turn it down because he's like, I know what this is like to be passed over. I'm not going to do this to this man. But it was when the community showed up and he saw what it wasn't really, it was more than the football team.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like he told his boys, he's like, this is more than a game. This is more than what you see. And that idea of respect is every character in this movie has the option, has the invitation to respect the other. Some of them turned down.
Yes.
Ray refused to look again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The girl, Gary's girlfriend-ish, Emma, she initially said, I'm not going to look again. Yep. But she said, maybe I need to through the course of the film. And so I do want to go to that clip of that truth, because unity can only come through truth. Where soon after this moment, Coach Boone had said, I want everybody to learn something about the other person. He was sort of forcing them to respect, look again, because what you see is not necessarily, like your story, Leo, about the guy in the Home Depot, is what we see is not really who that person is. You don't know a man until you know his story. And so Gary and Julius are they're two alphas, button heads, not really fighting for control, but really probably fighting for respect. Say, see what I have. Even to go back to what you were saying, Leo, we are looking for affirmation or offense. And that's what they were looking for. And they kept seeing offense. But they had a moment of truth where they called out not just the bad, but they actually they respected each other in this moment.
Hey, wait your turn, boy. You call me what, crack?
Quit it, jerks! Come on, you're all acting like a bunch of sissies! Quit it!
All right, man, listen. I'm Gary, you're Julius. Let's get some particulars and just get this over with, all right?
Particulars?
Yeah.
No matter what I tell you, you ain't gonna never know nothing about me.
Hey, listen, I ain't running any more of these 3-a-days, okay?
Well, what I got to say you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty? All right, honestly, I think you're nothing. Nothing but a pure waste of God-given talent. You don't listen to nobody, man. Not even Doc or Boone. Shiver push on the line every time, man. You blow right past them. Push them, pull them, do something. You can't run over everybody in this league. And every time you do, you leave one of your teammates hanging out to dry. Me in particular.
Why should I give a hoot about you? Huh? Or anybody else out there? You want to talk about a waste? You the captain, right?
Right.
Captain's supposed to be the leader, right?
Right.
You got a job?
I have a
you
job.
been doing your job?
I've been doing my job.
Then why don't you tell your white buddies to block for Rev better? Because they have not blocked for him worth a plug nickel, and you know it. Nobody plays, yourself included. I'm supposed to wear myself out for the team? What team? No. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look out for myself, and I'm going to get mine.
See, man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
Love for men looks very different. A man loving another man looks different than women loving other women. And this scene is a beautiful expression of male love. They're actually loving one another. It's crazy to say, but it's true, right? Wow. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I was struck this time around of what's underneath this racism is selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
They're both just ping-ponging of like, well, you're just looking out for yourself. You're just looking out. I'm going to look out for myself. That's the worst attitude. Well, you're the problem with the attitude. And like again, you're hearing selfishness, division, isolation. And the only hope is to come together.
Mm-hmm.
What stuck out to you, Leo? Man, scenes like that, man, they almost bring me to tears and I say that because of the like you said, truth, right? Like truth is being said from both sides, but also pain.
Yes.
I need you to hear my pain, like what I'm, Julius says you can just see it even in the way the actor portrayed the scene. You can see the pain is like, man, you don't know what I'm up against.
Yep.
And I want you to hear what I'm up against. That's why it's like, I'm a lookout for me, right? And you got Bertan's like, you don't even get it. That's like kind of one of the most selfish things I heard, but he's like, but attitude reflects leadership. And he hits him. It's like, pew, like, hold up. You're the captain. What's your example? Right? And you're letting your one of your buddies not block for our quarterback, which is team. And so when I think about it, I look at that, I'm like, man, we can just pierce past the wall with this arrow. I'm just visualizing an arrow that's just incredible going through this, I would say, this weak, thin wall of like racism, right? Like it's a wall that people hide behind. Oh man, it's like, man, you're against me because I'm black, or you're against me. Oh man, you get favoritism or this and this like that, and I'm like, And as I'm sitting here thinking that, I was working for a company. I'm gonna leave them nameless right now, and we're in this meeting, and somebody was saying people do business with people that look like them. This was a manager supervisor. And as soon as he said it, it gave certain people licenses to be like, yeah, man, sometimes it's hard because of the color of my skin. And I'm just waiting. And then they said, Leo, what are your thoughts? And I started off and I said, you know what, guys? I've been black my whole life. And they're like, now they're like, just what in the world is going on? What is he getting ready to say? And I said, so I played on basketball with a scholarship. I said, so did you have a scholarship? I was like, so did I get a little bit of favoritism over you because of my athletic ability? And I said, he's stuck. And I said, hear me out. Just please hear me out. I said, people do business with people they trust. And how you build trust is by loving people the right way. And I said, I have done no deals with anybody that looked like me because I said, I've done deals with people who see that I care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I walk around and saying, hey, I should have your job because we want this whole thing called equality, right? And I said, when you worked your butt off, you may have done, you may have worked your way up the chain, but man, we need some equality. So you need to give me that job. Now, I'm not saying there's no ignorance out there. I'm not naive to that. So hear me when I say this, but I'm saying we got to cut away the excuses and say, okay, how do we get to the heart?
Yes.
And in that moment, right, Julius and Bertan, they were getting to the heart. They said, man, let's cut the crap. And I'm going at you because I know you will understand if I just come straight at you. The moment that happened, you could just see it like almost like a relief because men do love differently. Like even my wife, when I'm talking to my boys or I'm challenging them, she's like, honey, but maybe you should do it this way. I'm like, honey, when they go off to play in college, that's God's will for their life. I said, guess what? I said, this is mild. I said, most coaches are probably going to curse them out. Yeah. And I said, now whether that coach does it out of insecurity or it just hasn't been fathered, it is what it is. But our kids are going to have to face certain things that I am trying to prepare them for. And I said, I want to open their eyes and I don't want them to be naive to think that like, hey, man, these things are not going to happen for lack of an order, right? Like, no, you're going to have some harsh truth and somebody's going to tell you like, man, you're really not that good, but they may tell you in a different way. And even though you may have talent, you got to figure out, well, do they define whether or not I have what it takes?
Mm-hmm.
And where do I get that from? And I think these two had to get through the truth because what Bertan was saying to Julius, like, man, you're probably the most talented dude on this team, but you don't even know how to bring out that talent. Right. I'm gonna help you bring out the talent through my truths, right? And so in the team I coach right now is predominantly white and white kids, right? And it's really interesting when we go places where we play against these all black teams, and some of the stuff you hear in the stands, the moms are like, "Well, he's talking about my," and I'm like, "Listen." I'm like you say, you go back men differently, right?
Yes.
In order for them to break through, getting out of their little bubble in our little suburb area, is they're being exposed to what's really out there. Yeah. Now it's our job to help them learn how to navigate that.
Yeah.
And I talk to our kids all the time. We're not going to beat them by talking trash back to them or cursing back to them. We're going to beat them with our skill. Yeah. That's why we develop you the way we develop you. So now your game is going to speak louder than your mouth. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times in the world we live in is you see people, their mouth is talking louder than who they actually are. And how do we cut through that? Once again, I come back to that. We're bringing that love. And in this moment, they were loving each other and they were just speaking straight through. And I was like, oh, man, I'm almost in, like, I want every young man in America just to watch that speech. Yeah. And really and then discuss it and talk about it. What does that mean to you? Mm-hmm. How does that resonate with you? Mm-hmm. Some are going to have answers. Some are going to be like, I don't know. Yeah. Because they're still trying to figure it out. Right. It's like the default answer is kids, I don't know, or I'm good, or right. And I'm like, you just don't know how to convey it yet. Right. And so we're going to help you navigate and how to convey that. But you said this whole movie, man, I'm glad I got to watch it again. Like I've seen it so many times. Every time I go back and see it, I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna have to watch it again. Probably this weekend, I'm gonna have to watch it again because there's just so much fruit in it. There's so many golden nuggets in this movie that we can apply to our lives right now. Right? It's so cool how movies speak to us.
Well, and then it's like. So the truth happens, right? The arrow is shot through the veil and we get to the heart of the matter. And then you're in this kind of like, there's a pause, there's a liminal space. There's a time of like, and so now what? Mm-hmm. Right? Like it didn't fix anything. It just exposed everything. And now what are we going to do with this truth? Yes. What are we going to do now that, like Leo, you've been speaking, the same mentor who taught me about respect, he talks about, you can choose to be a victim, you can choose to make other victims, or you can choose the way of the cross, which is to die and let the pain that you're experiencing be transformed into love. And I think that leads us into the next one.
Yes. And I love what you said there, because it is so easy to take those arrows. What is it? Wounds from a friend are better than kisses from an enemy.
Yep.
Because that conversation, like you guys said, and I agree completely. My wife is always like, man, you guys talk so mean to each other. It's like, that's how we show we love each other.
Yes.
And
Oh man.
And so they were speaking truth. Again, going back to they are seeing again. They're saying, you are the captain. You've got a lot of God-given talent.
Yeah.
You're wasting your talent. You're letting stuff slide. You're not doing your job as they were both. So they were both affirming, even as they're identifying gaps, shall we say.
Wow.
But the question comes, when that happens, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be offended?
Yeah.
Are you going to take it and just be like, well, that guy's a jerk. This affirms everything I thought about that other dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or are you going to take it to heart and do something with it?
Yeah.
And so the next scrimmage, they get together, they're playing defense, and there's a shift.
Let's go.
What was that, Ray? Whatever it is, it ain't blocking.
Give me a break.
You want a break? I'll give you a break. Me and Julius.
Wait a minute, just let them
We
handle
get to
this.
Rev once, just one time. I swear to God, I'm gonna hit you so hard by the time you come to. Ooh, boy, you're gonna need a new haircut. You understand me? Let's play, fellas.
On the ball, let's run it again.
Let's go, everybody. Let's go. All right. My side.
Come on, me.
You all right, Big Petey? You all right?
You really stuck him, Campbell.
Yeah, I love me a little contact, Petey.
Left side.
Strong side.
Left side.
Strong side.
Left side.
Strong side.
Left side. Left side.
Something I do, a way that I'm nourished by stories, in a way that Jesus fuels me, is I listen to my favorite movie scenes as I work out. Sometimes I run, and I listen to them. I listen to a movie trailer or something like that. And I've been running to Remember the Titans to get ready for this conversation. And when this scene comes, I've noticed I've had to stop running and walk. Almost like my soul's like, you need to pay attention. And it is like every time since I watched it with my kids and now watching it again, that scene has been moving me to tears. And I'm like, man, what are the tears about? And you see the tough love in the first scene where they're telling each other the truth. And I think that the tears for me is the risk of tender love also. There's tough love and there's tender love. And when Gary, in the company of men, out loud, explicitly, in front of the coaches too, and his peers, says, "This is left side," and he kind of punches Julius on the shoulder pad, like he's saying, "I'm choosing you, Julius, as my brother. I'm choosing to love you." And then there's that silence. And like, I think the silence is what moves me, is like, he risks. And again, Julius has the choice.
Right.
God gives us the choice. And Julius says, "Cool, I choose you back." It's like the most rare thing. in masculinity today. We talk about the church, talk about racism, talk about all of it. Like at the end of the day, in America and in the Western world, we're all just looking out for ourselves, building our own kingdom and competing in the process. Spiritual pissing matches is what I call it. Right. And that's what it is. And in that moment, Julius and Gary say no to that, and they choose a different way. And I also am so moved as I think of that was the turning point for their team. And it started with Boone and the speech. It did. But I noticed that Julius and Gary actually had to coach and teach Boone and Yost. Those Julius and Gary go first. Boone and Yost follow later. And that's powerful.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, this is rich. I don't know where God just put it on my heart one day. I was in a practice and I had a talk with these kids. I said, you're being offered golden nuggets, but some of you have holes in your pockets. So by the time you walk out of the gym, those golden nuggets are dribbling onto the floor. And I said, some of you need to have your mom sew up your pockets, or you may need to sew up your pockets. So when you're getting these nuggets, you can keep that investment and they stay with you. And in these scenes, like there's just so many golden nuggets. And it's challenging me and encouraging me as I go and I coach, and I've been entrusted a group of young men and women to coach, and I understand like more and more. I'm understanding it more and more. Like God just keeps speaking. You have a responsibility, and I'm like, whoa, hold up! Like people are looking at you. They're looking to you, and so where I'm spending time with the Father, like Lord, speak to me, help me, Father, these young men, and my boys. Like I've been entrusted with these boys. Sometimes it's the hardest. And I say it's the hardest because I know what it takes for them to reach their goals and their dreams. But sometimes they have a difficult time taking off the dad hat, like that's dad, this is coach. And so I could say the same thing to them and the same thing to another kid, and it resonates differently.
Yeah.
And through that, God is constantly teaching me for me, like, man, like I was telling my son the other day, and I just hugged him. Him and I were coming back from a workout, and my youngest boy, Levi, and I said, son, I just want you to know that I'm for you and I want you to succeed. And I said, I wish I had the opportunity for my dad to teach me boxing. And, I had to learn a lot, when we were younger. But when I got older, man, I was like, man, it'd be cool, not necessarily the boxing, but to be taught by someone who is excellent at something, who's your dad. And it's like, man, the bonding time. And I was just talking to my boy about it. I was like, man, I'm going to give you my all. And sometimes it's going to be tough because you're going to be like, Dad, oh, man, you're hard on me. And I said, son, I just want you to succeed because I know the struggles you're going through right now. And I've been through those struggles. And I said, I didn't have my dad to turn to. I had to and how do I figure this out? How do I get off the bench? How do I get playing time and all this kind of stuff? And I said, my memory, and I was sharing with him, I said, my memory of my dad coming to my game was me sitting on the bench. So he never got to watch me play. And I said, man, I've been in almost every single one of your games. And the only times I haven't been is because I may have been coaching your brothers in a different gym or a different area. And I said, how cool is our story going to be? And I want to tie all this in. I'm just reminded as we are here as men, impacting the lives of others. We call impact and influence. Like, we have this term, you're a social media influencer. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you influencing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you really influencing? And how are you impacting someone's life? Is it a good way or a bad way? Like, the whole term is, man, I'm a YouTuber. Okay, cool. What? Okay. When you're a YouTuber, right? What are you putting out? And I'm not trying to hear me when I say this. I'm not trying to knock somebody. I'm not trying to what the kids would say. Oh, you're hating on me or something like that. It's like, no. It's like, really, you have a responsibility, and we all have a responsibility. And I'm challenged by that because I'm not that we live this that we're going to be perfect, but it's like, Lord, help me understand this moment.
Yeah.
And help me use this moment, like you said, Julius and Bertan and Coach Boone and Yates, and they had these moments. It's like, man, how powerful it is that more men can rise up in that way, knowing that they've been fathered by God.
Yeah.
And it's like they have something to offer the next generation. That's change.
Yeah.
That we're having this conversation from this movie, Remember the Titans, and the depths of where this is going. It's like, God, take it where you want to take it. Here I am on this video call with you all, and two men that I respect and love. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with our color.
Mm-hmm.
Everything to do with, man, our bond through the unity of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful and so grateful that we get to talk about this movie. And when others go back and see it, I hope they get some of the revelations. Like, please, if you see this spot, go watch the movie over and over and over. Take notes, stop, pause in these moments, and think about how it resonates with you and how you can use that to impact your world, your story.
Mm-hmm.
It's such the larger story, man.
Yes.
Oh, I'm reminded of that. We're a small part of this larger story.
Mm-hmm.
God uses. Uses.
And again, that's what's in this movie.
Yeah.
We see it from our perspective through our lens.
Yeah.
We see God use the football team to transform the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
With Emma deciding to rearrange her priorities, with the team rallying around, with the ovation that Gary's mom got at the end of the movie as she walked into the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Those boys were playing football, but football was the smaller story.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a larger story. And it's the same thing for us. It might be, and sometimes fathering kids feels like a really small story.
Yeah.
But when we realize that we're part of the larger story, that's when like we get that's when we start walking on holy ground.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I loved about that clip, going back to that first one, is like, you're the captain, right? Well, why don't your guys block for Rev? And the next time you see Gary getting into his face, talking smack, but at the end, he's like dancing. Yeah. He is, because he hasn't been who he's supposed to be, and he knows it at some level. And it takes Julius to call him out and say, you're half-assing it, man.
Yeah.
And there's a joy and a delight when he starts acting in his strength as the captain, as the leader. And he's like, oh, this is who I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm even noticing, Paul, now that you bring that up, like it's after Gary really challenges and moves against Ray. And like, that's one of my favorite scenes. And just to see him like, oh, that's like masculine power, how it's meant to be. For the sake of good, for the sake of the greater good, for everybody to thrive. And what it does to Julius, this is even before he does left side, strong side. Julius, he tackles, he just smokes Petey. And he has a little more joy. He has a little more life. And just to see like our strength as men is supposed to cut cut other men free, set their hearts free, let them step into more of their fullness, not diminish them, but rather raise them up so they can flourish. And you see that even before Gary says, this is left side, like Julius is alive. And I'm like, I want to play ball with Julius. That guy's fun, right?
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen that until that moment. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you guys are taking this, and I'm jumping to a different part of the movie when I say it's like when they had they go to his house for dinner, right? And the mom is going to shake his hand, and he's like, he hugs her, and she's like, "What do I do?
What's
I
happening?"
I'm going to that, and even even when the cop rolls up, and Julius is sitting there, like there's a fear, but then the cop's like, "You guys are playing good football."
Yeah.
Right. Just these little subtle nuggets. But their bond, their brotherhood, it just, you see it, like you said, it ministered, so to speak, to Yates and Boone. And then you're like, hold up. Because during that time, for Yates to allow his daughter to go over to Boone's house it's like, it's unheard of, right? And one of my mentors, Jerry, I was around 27, 28. He invited me to live with him. And at the time, he had a plan, right? My friend, he was getting married. So I needed a temporary place to stay while I go out and figure out my next roommate situation. And I just started developing kids in basketball. And Jerry's like, come live with me. And I got to see a side of life that I've never seen before. Because first of all, and just being real with you guys, at this time, I hadn't been invited to be in someone's house for that long period of time. That was opposite skin color. Where I grew up, it wasn't happening. But same thing with Jerry. He wanted to get to know me, and here it is. I'm in this house. The trust that it takes in these moments, like Jerry broke the color barrier with, man, come live with me. And I learned so much from him, and we're close to this day. And his son became like a little brother to me. And now his son is coming in and kind of helping me with some of the stuff that we're doing with my basketball program. Right. And I'm like, oh, like, man, just the goodness in that of somebody, once again, just like, man, I'm inviting you in. And when that whole scene happened with the brick being thrown through and his daughter was in danger, and he's telling Yates, man, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I deal with all the time. But yet I'm still here to try to impact the lives, to try to make change. And so that is just a moment of rising above, like what we would call ignorance, right? Rising above it and saying, this is going to be a team.
Yeah.
I did not come here for this just to be an experiment. Now this is going to be a team. And it's just, today, that was a big part of high school change in football. When we think about it, in any sport, right, for that matter. So, so much richness.
It's good.
Well, and I think in that moment, one last thing that I wrote down as you guys were talking was the idea of impact versus influence. And in football, you don't want to influence someone. You want to impact them with great determination and force.
Yes.
And that's what you see, like what you just said. Coach Boone wasn't there to influence the society or influence the team. He was there to have an impact. And I've been involved with a men's retreat here in the Carolinas for over a decade. And for most of the last 10 years, I've been part of the leadership team. For several years was the MC, where there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, they associate me with the event. And last year I stepped down, and because I was like, I just felt like God was like laying everything down that he's not forcing me to continue, which this podcast is one of those things I can't, he's like, nope, you're still doing this one. And then this last one earlier this year, we had an event where I stepped in and actually took a small group of men, 3 guys. And I took the stuff that I've gleaned from my time out in Colorado, different events. I was like, I'm bringing the transformation that I've experienced to these guys, to this small 3 dudes.
Yeah.
And as we like to say, it's only weird if it doesn't work. We went some weird places, but in those weird moments, Jesus showed up and brought healing and restoration and reintegration of these dudes' hearts. And I remember after sort of going through the last of the 3 guys, I was walking back to the dining hall. And that idea of influence versus impact. Yeah. He's like, you've had a greater impact in this event than you've had any time speaking from stage.
Yeah.
And that same thought when I'm taking my grandson to school or picking him up or hanging out, is like the impact that we have is what we really want to be after. The impact that you had, Leo, on that dude in Home Depot. Like, you changed his river course if he let it.
Yeah.
Right? He had the opportunity. You offered the invitation. And you put a pebble under his saddle, and he's like, whoa, what just happened? And yeah, it's been awesome sharing this space with you. Thank you guys for the boldness to reach out and stepping into the delight and the joy that this conversation has been.
Yeah,
it's been good. Loved it. I'm ready. I'm ready for my day now.
Guys, I wish you guys could be a fly on the wall at my practice this evening. I'm so pumped.
Just take a video. Please video it, man.
I am like, man, I'm looking at the time like, man, I got about 5 more hours. Okay.
I'm ready to go now.
Let's, man, it's good. It's good. This is fun.
So fun.
This is fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This has been Paul McDonald, Leo Clark, and Conrad Shuttle talking about Remember the Titans and how we can bring unity through truth and respect. So go out and see again the people around you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us next time here on the Men at the Movies podcast.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?